Hey guys, my name is Montana. I'm a student here at JTech, and today I'm going to show you how to check the throttle position sensor on this Hyundai Tiburon. So the first thing we're going to want to talk about is the wiring diagram. How are we going to know where to hook the wires up, where to hook the leads up to test the wires, see if they're correct? So we'll come over here. We have our wiring diagram pulled up. So I'm going to go over the wires with you real quick. So this is the circuit right here. There's the throttle position sensor, and then here is the PCM. So there's 3 wires going from the throttle position sensor to the PCM, so it knows what it's supposed to do and how far it's opened, so the computer can add the right amount of fuel to the circuit. So we're going to start out with the white wire. This is our signal wire. So this is what communicates between the both of them to let the PCM know that the throttle position sensor has opened or closed. Next we have our orange wire. That's our ground wire. So all it's doing is just giving a ground to the circuit so it doesn't overload and it actually works. Then we got our power wire, which is the yellow-orange. So the ground and power, they're just making the sensor work, but the signal wire is actually what is allowing this PCM and TPS sensor, throttle position sensor, to communicate so they can accurately work efficiently. So now we're going to come over here. We're going to come at the end. So we have everything hooked up right now. We have our ground hooked up. We have our signal hooked up to the sensor. We have it all hooked up to this oscilloscope so we can see what the graph looks like. So now, this is what the graph looks like at full throttle. Right now it's completely closed. This is at full throttle. It went up and it's fully open right now. Okay. Now we're gonna do quarter to half throttle. So what that's saying is that the computer is actually reading what the TPS sensor is sending, which allows the computer to do what it needs to do to make sure the vehicle runs, so you can accelerate and the engine won't stall out on you. Guys, so now what I'm going to show you is I hooked up a DUM to the TPS sensor so I can check the resistance of the sensor. So as you can see, it reads 0.3 ohms right now and 0.2. So you don't want this to have a whole solid ohm to it, like 1 or 2 ohms, because then something's not right. It should have 0.1, 2, or 3 ohms if it's a good circuit. So we have it hooked up to the power tongue on the sensor and the ground tongue on the sensor. Nothing hooked up to the signal because we're not checking for signal right now. We're just trying to check for resistance in the sensor. So the reason why you would do this is to check to see if there's a short in the sensor, to see if since it's not working correctly, you're trying to check the resistance, so to see if it's not pulling too much or pulling too little. And the other thing you could do is check to see if it was receiving power by hooking it up by measuring the volts of the circuit of the sensor. So the thing that this shows us is if it works, it should have a low ohm reading. If it's not working correctly, it's going to have a higher ohm reading. So that's essentially the only reason you would hook this up for, is to check to see if it was getting a ground and how much resistance it was having, and to check the power and the volts for it to see if it was receiving power and ground. And that's how you check a TPS throttle position sensor.